Hello and welcome. My name is Lexi, and here I like to talk about luxury beauty. Today we are talking about Victoria Beckham beauty. So I picked up the two newest shades of her cheek sticks, and we're going to look at those. We're going to look at some comparisons of those. And then I also, I actually picked this up a while ago, but hadn't gotten around to opening it until today. But this is the Smoky Eye Brick in Tuxedo. Or actually, I opened it before today so I could test it out for wear. So I will show you guys a demo of the Fever Stick, which was yesterday's look. That was also paired with this palette. And then today we're going to talk about this as well. So let's get into the demo. Then we're going to come back here and we're going to do swatches and comparisons of the products that we use today. I'll give you kind of a breakdown of what I like and what I don't love as much. All right, so I thought we would go ahead and do pretty much a full face of Victoria Beckham today. I picked up one of the signature, the Smoky Eye Bricks. So I have Tuxedo, and I also picked up both of the new blush sticks, so we're gonna play with those. I do have a clip showing you the one shade that I wore yesterday, which is Fever, and we'll do Fame today, but let's go ahead and start with the eyes. So here is the Smoky Eye Brick. You can see this is actually pretty compact. It's tiny, I would say smaller than a business card. Just for size reference, this is a Dior palette. So they're about the same width, but you can see that width this way, not depth. You can see here that the Dior is gonna be deeper with packaging and taller as well. So yeah, this is compact. It is a metal case. I like the case. You've got kind of the tortoiseshell look, full-size mirror. It extends just past 180 degrees. And then you have the shades here. And again, there are no actual dividers between the shades. I've already worn this once, so I wanted to kind of test the wear and everything. So let's do another look with it today. So I'm using the crease brush from Sydney Grace. I'm gonna go into this last shade here. Just gonna get a little bit, dab it on my cloth. I do have the Viseart eye primer on my lids right now. And on my skin, I have the Tom Ford Soft Matte Primer and the Sisley Cushion Foundation in Swan. And here is the Victoria Beckham. You can see that it's a powder. It's powdery, like to the point where you're gonna get like powder kick up in here, but it's not like super powdery and messy on the lid. It actually goes on a little bit more like a pigment does on the skin. Then we're taking the Sydney Grace. This is kind of like a slanted shader style brush. We're going to go into the first shade here actually. And we're going to use the angle. Again, I just dabbed on my cloth. I'm going to use the angle to get into that inner corner there and kind of spread that out over the inner half of the eye here. So I'm going to go over this, but I want it to be a little bit lighter here. Next, I'm going into this shade here, and I'm going to use the same brush, and I'm picking up from the halfway point. Since I did dab this on my cloth, I didn't get much product. So let me get a little bit more. Let's see how this goes on. And I actually did a similar look yesterday. I wore this, and I just put this second shade all over with just this in the inner corner, and I lined with the black shade. But you can see that these are actually very, very light and softly pigmented. So I'm just going to dab over the ivory with this brush to get a little bit of that gray on there. So we really just have kind of this really soft gray eye. So you can see that these shadows give you a really matte eye look. You know, they do add a little bit of blurring to the lid. But they do perform, in my opinion, more like a pure pigment versus a traditional eyeshadow formula. There is always kick up in the pan. I've just been kind of, dusting it off in between uses. So I'm just going to go back in with this crease brush here and just kind of go over that with no product. I'm taking the slanted liner brush, and instead of going into the deepest shade today, we're going to go into the one we use for the crease, because I do want to keep kind of a light look today. Okay, and then what's left on this brush, I'm just going to use that a little bit on the outer portion of the lower lash line. This is a brush I used with my foundation today, so I'm just gonna clean up just a little bit here. But you can see there really wasn't any fallout or anything with that. It was just I went a little messy with the crease brush. But I do want to actually soften this crease area a little bit. So I'm gonna go back in with the crease brush. I wiped it on my cloth, going into the lightest shade here, dabbing off the excess, and I'm gonna put this on the brow and kind of just soften that color that's coming above the crease and adding a little bit of whiteness right there. I think it looks better. All right, so I don't have the Victoria Beckham mascara. This is the Rougher Eyelash Curler, by the way. I have had that in the past. I've used it. I did not love it. So I'm actually going to use the Kjaer Weis I'm Possible mascara. This is my favorite, like, clean beauty mascara. It's actually one of my favorite mascaras, regardless of, you know, being clean or not clean beauty. But yeah, I think this is a really great mascara. I also like the Jones Road mascara. It's very nice if you're looking for something in the clean beauty category as well. One of the things I really like about the Kjaer Weis, though, is that it is refillable. And this is actually a refill that I'm using now. I think it's just a really great mascara. I did not put any mascara on my lower lashes. Wanted to keep it, again, kind of like light. And I don't have a brow product at all from Victoria Beckham. I don't think they make one yet, right? Pretty sure. Off the top of my head, I can't remember seeing one come out. But yeah, I'm just going to use the Givenchy brow pencil. All right, so those are the eyes. I have to say, I think they actually look really nice. I really like the way that these pigments look on the eyes. We'll talk more about those after this little demo. Let's move into the cheek stick. So this is the new shade Fame. And I do have some of these cheek sticks from when they were first released, but I picked up the two newest colors. And to say, you know, they really drew me in. They're the kind of colors I'm gravitating towards right now. So this is the shade Fame, and I'm just going to dab a little bit on here, and then we're going to use my fingers to kind of blend this out. So there it is. To say I really like this color. And then Sydney Grace, these are all synthetic brushes. I will have a review on these soon. I'm still going through all of them because I picked up all of the brushes. Anyway, they have this smaller face brush, which, you know, could definitely be used for concealer if you like larger concealer brushes, but I think it's really nice for cream blushes and so forth as well. So that's what we're going to do with this one. I'm going to take this brush, just get some pigment on here, and just kind of put that on here. Just wiping off the brush a bit. So you can see that this side actually looks more pigmented than my fingers. I think I ended up, you know, removing a little bit more pigment with my fingers than I did with the brush. But there we go. I think with the brush, it actually looks better than the finger side, personally. All right, and we're going into the Victoria Beckham bronzer in 01. And we're actually going to go into the contour side. You can see it's a little dusty. I'm using this angled cheek brush, tapping some of that off. Just going to put a little bit of this right below. Just going to add a little bit of this right to the back of the blush area as well. All right, that actually looks pretty messy on this side. Let me clean that up. Just kind of smoothing that out a little bit with the foundation brush. Trying not to really take off too much color, but I did get too much powder from the bronzer on there. So just kind of, you can see I'm like more of a dabbing motion, and it's just kind of removing a little excess powder there. So let's see here. Just no additional product or anything on here, but just adding a little bit more of that back because I took more off of that side. All right, and I just want to go in and add a little bit more of the blush so you guys can really see that color. But in real life, I mean, I wouldn't wear it darker than this personally. I'm going to use the brush here for both sides. All right, and then we're taking the Victoria Beckham highlight. This is the Reflect Stick in the shade Pearl, and I like to just dab this on with my fingers and just put a little bit of this right here. And you can use this on other parts of your face as well, but I typically really only prefer to use the highlight just on the high points of my cheeks, not really so much other locations. So we're gonna stick with it just right there. I'm taking the Victoria Beckham. This is the Brightening Eye Kaujal. I'm just gonna run this along the lower waterline here. And just a touch in the inner corner here. And I picked up a new lip liner from Victoria Beckham. It's not new, it's shade number 1. It's just every time I've ordered their lip liners, this one has been out of stock. Wow, this like lid was really hard to get off. So I'm just gonna line my lips with this, and then we're gonna go over this with, I haven't decided yet, lip gloss or one of the lipsticks. You can see I don't have any lip balm or anything on. My lips are a little dry right now. All right, so I think we're actually gonna go in with the lip gloss. This is in the shade Posh, and this is the lip liner in 1. It's a little bit warmer than I was hoping it to be. You can see that there's a little bit more of this like golden hue to it. I was hoping for something a little cooler tone. So we're gonna go on top of this with the Posh gloss in Posh. So the Posh gloss in Posh is one of my favorite shades. I really like this color. The lip liner is going to warm this up. You can see it's definitely doing that. So between the two of these, I have a more neutral lip. All right, and there's that. So this is going to be my final look up close. And here we are from a distance. All right, so let's discuss the products that we use today. And again, my base products were not Victoria Beckham. I'm still like obsessed with this Sisley cushion foundation, the Vita Blanc cushion. I wear shade 00C Swan. I also have this Hydro Beam concealer on as well, and the Viseart eye primer, and the Tom Ford soft matte primer. So those were the products I had on when we started. And then this is the Victoria Beckham Smoky Eye Brick in Tuxedo. And I have to say, one of the reasons that I didn't really pick this up until recently is, there are a few reasons. One, I'm just, the color stories are not anything super unique to me. There wasn't anything like, wow, I have to have that because I love those colors. They are more like simple. They do have, I felt like the neutral palettes look too warm. This is their cooler tone palette. And you can see it's great for like, if you're looking for a cool tone smoky eye. I don't wear dark eyeshadow that frequently. So for me, this is, I was expecting it to be a little bit deeper than I thought, but I really like the way it goes on. I like the way it looks on my lids. I have to say, to me, they perform more like pigments, and they remind me of the Hindosh palette. So this is the original Hindosh palette, and texturally these are going to be a little bit smoother, a little bit less powdery. These are technically pressed pigments, but this is, the way it feels on the eye and so forth, and the way that they blend out, that's what it made me think of. Now this palette, these are all ombre shadows, so to get, it just depends where you go in there to get what shade you want. So you can kind of create these same colors, just going in this top one, with this Hindosh palette. You can see it's going to be a very similar color story. And that's really what it made me think of. I don't really think there's too much of a point in comparing this with any other palettes because, let's face it, you have a white and then medium gray and then two really deep shades like a black and a really dark gray. You're going to find that in a lot of palettes, and I have that in other palettes. They aren't really the same finish though. So if you're looking for something very soft, powdery looking without feeling like powder on the skin, I would say this or the Hindosh palette. Now, I have to say I do like this. I did not have any issues with creasing or anything, but is it something I'm like, wow, I have to have this. I'm going to go out and buy more. It's not. Actually, I think I prefer the Hindosh just because of I really like the gradients and how you can change the colors. And this one here, again, for me, it's more about the color stories that she has. And, you know, it's more powdery kick up, which isn't an issue right now as it's new. But as I start to wear down in the colors and so forth, I don't know. It's just, I think it's okay. You know, I think it's nice, but it's not a wow product for me. If there was a color story that came out though that really called to me, I would definitely pick it up. I think the formula is nice. Let's talk about the bronzer briefly. Now I do have one with a broken compact. I had it open, hold on. Yeah, there we go. So I had it open during the thing. You've got a warm shade and a lighter contour shade. This is number 1. I think the formula on these is nice, but I don't love this palette. So I do find that if your skin is overly moisturized, the bronzer application can be a bit patchy. I've not had issues with hard pan, but I have to say I've used this maybe 10 times since I bought it. I don't love the particular colors. Perhaps, you know, I never really use this shade because it's too yellow. I'll use this one, but it's still just not perfect for me. So it's a nice formula if you have colors that you know, that work well for you, but it's not a favorite for me. And this is 9.6 grams and it is going to be made in the US as well, but it's made of US and imported ingredients. Smoky Eye Brick was a 1-year shelf life. It's 8.5 grams. And it is also made in the US of US and imported ingredients, and 1-year shelf life on the bronzer as well. So we're gonna say the blushes for last and just go through my thoughts on the other products. The highlighter, I recently reviewed this when this came out, and I like this highlighter. I think it's a nice highlighter. It's not something really unique though. I think it is a nice highlighter. I like it, I will use it, but there are others that I prefer. So it's nice. Here is the lip definer in 01, which, you know, looking at it here and looking at the end cap, I thought it was gonna be a little bit cooler, but you can see it's peachier. So it actually looks warmer on the skin than I feel it looks actually in the pencil. I don't love how warm it is. I do like the formula of these because they're a little bit of a drier formula. So they're really great for definition. They stay put. I don't find them particularly creamy, but they are smooth enough to go on without tugging. And likewise, the Victoria Beckham Brightening Eye Kajal, what do they call this? It is the Instant Brightening Waterline Pencil. I've been using this for a while. I do like this. It lasts most of the day for me in my waterline. Not the entire day though. I actually like the Chantecaille Brightening Eye Kajal better than this one, but I like this one better than the Chanel. So, you know, this is middle for me. And I think it's a very nice product. So I like it and I will definitely be using this. And you know, it is one that I would purchase again, especially, you know, sometimes I'll purchase things again to get free shipping and so forth. I think this is a good item, you know, to do that with. So let's take a look at the blushes. We're gonna start off here with Fame. This is the one I used today. Oh, I forgot to swatch a gloss. Let me do that real quickly too. But first, let me just smudge this out so you can see what Fame looks like. can see it's kind of like this mauve shade. It's not quite berry because it has a little bit more purple in there. And let me just put the gloss. Again, this is in the shade Posh. Next to it, you can see they're actually kind of similar. The Posh gloss has more pink in it, but the Posh gloss also has a little bit of that mauve, a little bit of like purple in there as well. So I really like both of them. And then we have the Fever shade, which I was actually nervous about, but because, you know, it looks kind of like this red orange. So I wasn't sure if I would like it, but I've really been enjoying using something like a little bit more red on my cheeks and just getting kind of that flush. So I wanted to try it, and I love this color. So I think it's very brightening. It's great for summer. You can see that it looks kind of reddish orange, but when you buff it out, I don't see so much of that orange. It's really more of just like a bright flush. So let's look at some comparisons. I also want to show you, these are the two that I bought before. So this one here is Major. We're just gonna put this right here in the middle. So here's Major. You can see that Major is going to be more of a neutral pink shade. And then this one is Knickers, which is more of a peach. So a soft peach, more of a nude peach. So those are the two from the original launch there. But color-wise, I don't have a ton that are close to Fame, or Fever, I mean, because that's kind of unique to me, but I pulled out what I have. Now, formula-wise, I do think that the most similar cream blushes that I have are the Westman Atelier. These are both kind of like a drier blush stick. They are cream, but they dry and kind of sink into your skin, so they don't stay like balmy or anything. This is the shade Doo Doo, Westman Atelier, and you can see that there's a lot more rose in this. A lot less purple than Fame. Now, Westman Atelier does not really have a reddish shade. This is a bright shade from them. This is Pop It, which is really more of like that fuchsia pink shade. This is a great brightening shade for the summer as well. I really like this. And then we have Bichette, which is more of like a brick red, but you can see that this has a lot more like brown and rust in it. It's more like a rusty shade. So there really isn't anything comparable to Fever, in my opinion. And this is the Merit Cheek Stick in Raspberry Beret, and I wanted to show you this one with the Fame shade. You can see that they do have a similarity. This one is a little bit more berry. It's also going to be a balmier formula, so this will kind of sink into your skin, blend out mostly, but you're still going to have a little bit of that balmy texture to it, and there's a little bit more of a sheen, whereas the Westman Atelier and Victoria Beckham are going to be more of a matte look on the cheeks, like the Cle de Peau, which is also matte on the cheeks. And then when I first put Fever on, the blush it really reminded me of the most is the Chanel #1, the Chanel blushes. This is #4, Wake Up Pink. Now the color is not quite the same. Okay, you can see, you know, this is a different shade. But what made me think of this, okay, so you can see that this is gonna be a little bit pinker, and you know, it doesn't have quite as much red or orange in it, but this is like an orangey pink. So it's an orangey pink instead of an orangey red. But this color kind of like works on just so many different people to really give this like beautiful flush. And I feel like Fever does the same thing. So although the colors are different, the #1 texture is a little bit balmier on the skin. It's, again, you're going to have that balmy texture, a little bit more wet on the cheeks. You know, they do kind of have that same transformative experience. So I wanted to share that. I think that is my closest match to Fever, both in color and just in the way that it performs. And then this one here is shade number, oh, by the way, yes. So that was 4, Wake Up Pink. This one here is 5, Lively Rosewood. And we're gonna look at this one here with Fame. You can see that this is gonna be a bit warmer than Fame, and it's more of a true rosewood versus like a berry plum. And then the last comparison I have, this is the liquid blush in Classique from Surratt. And Classique is really more of that reddish kind of shade. But you can see that it's really more of like a watery blush. Knocking things over. This is going to be more of a bright bluer red compared to Fever. Really beautiful color. I personally don't like this formula. I like the powder version of this better personally. So I hope this was helpful. Please let me know what you think of Victoria Beckham beauty products and what you love and what you don't. I would love to know if you've tried the cheek sticks and which ones your favorite shades are. I have to say, I think that Fever and Fame, the two newest shades, are my favorite out of the 4 that I have from her. I can see them just working really well for me throughout the year. So overall, definitely a win. And thanks so much for tuning in. I'll see you very soon. Have a great day.